Alright, for this screencast we're going to go over a few things. The first thing is order of operations. So we already know how to input variables into MATLAB, x equals 1, y equals 2, but say I want to do z equals x divided by y, right? I get 1/2, and that's because x is 1, y is 2, so that's 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. Now, if I wanted to do, say, x squared plus y squared divided by x squared minus y squared, notice that I have parentheses in here. So just like on your calculator, you need to make sure that the operations are set so that it does everything first. You guys probably remember PEMDAS, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, divide, add, subtract. Okay, so it's going to do all of that first. So if I retype this in, x squared plus y squared divided by x squared minus y squared, it's going to do 1 squared, which is 1, and then it's going to do 2 squared, which is 4, so this whole numerator is going to be 5, and then it's going to do 1 squared minus 4, which is -3, so I should get -5/3. Now, if I leave off the parentheses, now it's going to do 5 in the numerator again, but then it's going to divide by 1, which is 5, and then subtract 4, so I'm only going to get 1. So when you're writing your code, make sure you have your parentheses in the right spot. Otherwise, you will not get the answer that you're looking for. Okay, so let's say I do x equals square root of 2. Now notice that in my code right now, I have a million decimal places. Say I don't want that many decimal places. Well, if I type in format short g, and then I type in x equals square root of 2, notice that now I've truncated the number of decimal points to 4. And so if I do square root of 2 over 4, I get that. Over, say, 10, I get that. But then if I do format long g, and I type in x again, notice how I have a million variables. Okay? So that's just something to consider when you're running code and you're looking at your answer and you're like, I don't have enough significant digits. You can just use format long g. All right? Finally, as you're running through your code, you're going to notice that when you're running code, you might say x, y, z, everything's fine, and you might type in t, and you're like, undefined function or variable t. Well, if you type in whos will actually tell you all of the variables that are currently in your workspace. So I have x, y, and z in my workspace. They are all doubles, and they are all 8 bytes. And the other way you can do it is by looking at your workspace. So your window might look a little bit different, but here in your workspace, notice that all of the variables are set x, y, z here. But again, in the command window, you can type in whos, and you can see all the variables. Okay, another thing that you might want to do is type in different variables. Now notice when I type in whos, x is a double. All right, as we went over in class, that means that x is represented as a binary number with 8 bytes. Now if I type in r equals hello, that is a string. That's a variable called a string. Now MATLAB represents it as a character. So if I type in whos again, notice that r is a variable, it is a char or a string, they're interchangeable, and I use 10 bytes. Now why is it 10 bytes? Well, if you look here at the size, notice that it's a 1/5 variable. That's because HELLO is 5 letters and it's a length of 5. So every character in your string is represented, and every character takes 2 bytes. And that's because all of the characters in the English dictionary can be represented with 2 bytes. So if I type in, say, r equals hello world, that now is 11 characters with 22 bytes. And that's because the space is counted when you are doing your variable types. Okay? Now, you can change between characters and doubles very, very easily. Let's say I do x string is 42, and I type in whos. Notice that x string is a 1/2, there's 2 characters in it, it's got 4 bytes and is a character. Now if I do x double equals what? I can actually do string to num of x string. And what that's going to do is it's going to take x string, the variable, and it's going to convert it to a number. So now look at x double. Now if I type in whose, notice that x double, it's no longer a 1 by 2, it's a 1 by 1 because it's one number, and suddenly it's 8 bytes and it's a double. Now if I type in x string and x double, they look exactly the same, but you need to keep in mind that when you do whose, they're actually different variable types. So if I do x double times 2, I get 84, but if I do x string times 2, I get something completely different, and that doesn't make sense at all. If I do x string plus x string, again, it doesn't like it because it's a double. It doesn't make any intuitive sense whatsoever. So you need to be careful when you are using variables with variable types because you need to make sure that you're going to get what you want.